Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse 7-inch scale Batgirl action figure. Now this is Batgirl in one of her most recent costumes, I believe to be her current costume, and kudos to McFarlane for getting it out so quick. Mattel was always 5 to 10 years behind on the current iterations of the characters, I swear. Now this is, I don't know if you call it exactly a deluxe figure, but it comes with a collect and connect piece of a Batmobile. And when I first saw these figures listed, I was super excited. I thought, oh wow, they're giving us a Batmobile. How could it just be 3 parts? It's going to be so basic. And then come to figure out the Batmobile itself is about the size of one of the figures, so it's definitely not in scale. McFarlane said they're going to be starting a collection of different Batmobiles, so I'm thinking each wave is going to have 3 of these Build-A-Figure, probably all Batman themed if they're going to be making Batmobiles. So let's go and check out the packaging here. As you can see, DC Multiverse Batgirl, yellow boots, grapple gun, Batarang in a gold color to match her versus the black Batman. And she looks pretty good. Paint job is crisp. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. This is going to be our second female, but it looks like our first sort of normally proportioned female. See her mask, see her cape in the background. She's got a collector's card, a stand back there, and the piece of the Batmobile on the side, but we'll check that out in a little bit. Age is 12 plus. McFarlane Toys, you can see the Spawn logo up here, and then 22 moving parts. Here on one side, Batgirl from Art of the Crime storyline. Other side simply says Batgirl. Bottom here, there's a barcode in case anybody needs it, and a bunch of credits. Then on the back, you can see Batgirl from the comic on her Batcycle. We get a piece of the Batmobile, get all 3 of them, put it together. And then here's the rest of this wave. Nightwing, Batman the Man Who Laughs, and a Batgirl. And I did end up getting 2 of these figures. One of them to open and enjoy, and one to keep unopened in my complete 6 and 7-inch Batman action figure collection unopened. And I wanted to point out the difference in packaging size compared to a regular McFarlane release. Here's the Batman. Line up the sides together. Pretty much it's the exact same packaging except it has an extra piece for the Collect and Connect figure there. Their thickness is exactly the same. And this figure was one among a big haul from Entertainment Earth that arrived today. I believe this is a full case of 6 figures of the Build-A-Figure wave. These are some of the figures I'm most excited for. The Man Who Laughs is probably one I'm most excited for in this entire line so far, as is a brand new character. But then we have Batgirl in her current costume, and a really cool looking Nightwing as well. And then here's this figure taking his rightful place on my Batman shelf in front of my Batman and related comics with all my other recently acquired 6 and 7-inch Batman unopened figures. As you can see, we've got some of the other McFarlane figures above, some of the other McFarlane figures below. I only get the Bat and related characters to keep unopened in my complete Batman 6 and 7-inch unopened collection. And it looks like when I ordered these figures, Entertainment Earth sent me a case. I guess they come in increments of 6. Thought a couple people might be interested to see what that looks like. So you can see the top here, we've got the McFarlane Spawn logo. He even has McFarlane tape. And then here we've got a warning not to put this out before January 1st, 2020, the street date. Kind of makes me wonder why they had to wait so long to ship these. And then here in the front, some of the other details: McFarlane Toys, DC Collector, Wave 1, Ultra action figure. Mildly interesting. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here she is with all of her accessories laid out. She has a Batarang, a Bat Grapple, display stand, collector's card, and a Collect and Connect piece of the Batmobile. But before we look at the accessories, let's check out the actual figure. So here we go. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl from Rebirth in her current costume, looking really nice. See those bat boots there. See the detail on the bottom of the boots, the tread. I like it a lot. Her boots look like sort of Batman heads. Double jointed knees. I like the suit, how it looks on her. It looks pretty nice. The belt's pretty cool too. Notice it expands onto the legs. Here are hands, gauntlets, double jointed elbows, back signal on the chest, very large, popping in your face. Different kind of mask than the traditional Batgirl. She's got her ears in there. Cape a little on the small side, flowing in the wind. Overall, I must say, liking the way this Batgirl looks. Next, let's check out her accessories. Let's get rid of some of the boring stuff first. Here is her display stand. This thing's just a perfect circle. It's got the DC logo at the bottom. It's got one peg for the peg hole in their feet. And it's very thin. Now, I'm not much of a stand guy, so this is going to go into a huge bin of stands, never to be seen again. And then we've got her Collect and Connect Batmobile piece. We'll look at that in a little depth shortly. Next, let's check out her collector's card. This is Batgirl from the story The Art of Crime. And it just so happens I have the comic book here. This is Batgirl number 27. This is in the Rebirth comics. This was from 2018. I really like the fact that they went with such a modern look. Mattel always took so long to get there. I mean, they released a biker Red Hood in 2019 when he's been around for well over 10 years. Next, let's check out our Batarang. This thing here is clearly the shape of the bat symbol. It's also gold, which is kind of cool that Batgirl gets a non-black colored Batarang. And this thing is quite thick, like the ones that came with Batman. Here it is, next to the other two Batarangs that McFarlane has made so far. The left, we've got the one from Detective Comics Batman. In the middle, from Batgirl. On the far right, from the Batman animated series Batman. And kudos to McFarlane for not making one sculpt and releasing it 3 times. Here she is holding her Batarang. My only complaint would be it's a little bit too big and too thick for the figure. And she's able to pull her arm back considerably far to be able to launch a Batarang. Definitely one of the nice things to be able to utilize McFarlane's articulation. Next, let's check out her bat grapple. This here almost looks like a pistol at the bottom. Not a lot of detail on it. Plain silver, just a tiny bit of sculpting. And it's got this wire or cable permanently attached to it, leading to her hook here. I personally think this thing would be a lot better if this part here was removable and you could attach or detach the cable as desired. Here it is next to the Detective Comics Batman Bat Grapple from McFarlane. Pretty similar type design. Here she is holding and launching her Bat Grapple. As you can see, she's got a trigger finger which fits into the trigger area just fine. Like I said, I really wish this cable was removable because I honestly don't really like grapples like this too much. And if you wanted her launching it upward, like she's getting ready to go to the top of the roof or something, which is what they most commonly use these grapples for, she's going to look pretty dumb. She cannot raise her head up any higher than this. Now let's look at Batgirl's piece of the Collect and Connect Batmobile. This will be the left-hand side of the Batmobile if you're looking at it from the top. So this thing here has nice detail. It's not all black. It's got some weathering, some silver on it. The wheels, of course, they move. By itself, doesn't look like too much, but I'm sure it's going to be a cool Batmobile when you plug them in together. Now, when I first heard about the Collect and Connect Batmobile, I was super excited, and then I found out that it isn't in scale with the figures. And even though this thing is probably going to look really cool, it's really not what I wanted as a Collect and Connect piece. Kind of reminds me of when Mattel did the Collect and Connect Bat Grapple from Batman vs. Superman. I personally want a Collect and Connect thing that I can actually use with my action figures. These Batmobiles will be a cool display piece, but I don't really collect out-of-scale Batman cars. Todd McFarlane has said he plans to make a bunch of different Batmobiles this way, which will probably be cool once you get a bunch of them. Still, I want something I can use with my figures. He said he toyed with the idea of maybe doing Collect and Connect Batman Bat Computer, and that sounds really cool. I mean, Mattel gave us the Bat Signal and a whole bunch of figures. I would prefer to have a diorama or a figure myself. And then if you're to take all 3 of the Collect and Connect Batmobile pieces, once again, these come with Nightwing, Batgirl, and Batman Who Laughs. Put them together, and this is what you get. A pretty nice looking modern traditional Batmobile from the comics. You see the bat head on the front, the yellow eyes, the wheels, of course, they do spin. This thing looks great, just definitely too small. Please, McFarlane, make a large version of this. That would be fantastic. And here's this completed Batmobile next to this entire wave of figures. Like I said before, not even close to scale the figures. They might be able to use this thing for a skateboard or such. And although I'm not going to lie, the Batmobile itself looks great. It's a pretty cool display piece. Just not really something that I want or need. I would have rather the figure simply cost $19.99 like the other ones, or came with something different. But like I said, just my opinion. Here's this Collect and Connect Batmobile next to the DC McFarlane Bat Raptor. The Bat Raptor is a smaller vehicle of Batman, smaller than the Batmobile. So if you can just imagine how scale-wise a true Batmobile would be, probably twice as big as this Raptor. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at our accessories, next let's check out the height of this figure. So this figure here, from bottom to top, just a hair under 7 inches, I'd say about 6.9 inches. Going to translate to about 17.5 centimeters. Next, let's check out her articulation. So, starting with her head here, of course, you can rotate from side to side. A little bit obstructed for their hair, but it's soft, can move out of the way, so she can turn her head pretty much all the way around. She can look down, pretty nice amount, and cannot look up at all, as her hair prevents it from going further back. Her cape here, of course, is soft, not really articulated, but you can move out of the way, exposing her backpack back there. Shoulders are on a ball joint. They go out more than 90 degrees, which is pretty cool. Up, down, around, all that fun stuff. She does have a butterfly joint here, but doesn't give you much extra articulation. You can see a little bit of material between her chest and shoulder area. Allows her arms to go forward, but really, like I said, doesn't really get a lot of extra out of that. Double jointed elbows. Her wrist here has a ball between the forearm and hand. You can rotate the ball at the base next to the forearm, and then the hand can also rotate between the ball and hand. It's also hinged as well. She's got what appears to be 2 ball joints in her chest area. Top one here can rotate around, doesn't go further than that though. Allows her to go forward and back as well. And then the bottom one rotates even less and goes further and back even less. Between both of those, she can look down that far altogether and up about that far altogether. Legs, not really a ball joint, but the same sort of concept. They can go out a little bit less than 90 degrees. The legs can move independently of the joint in there, but barely. Legs go forward about that much. Definitely not 90 degrees. And they really can't go back at all. She does have double jointed knees below that. And then her ankle here, sort of the same concept as her wrist. There's a ball between the shin area and the foot. Of course, you can put her foot up, down. She has toe articulation. You can rotate the foot around. You can't really rock it. If you want to rock it, you have to rotate the ball to the side, hold it in place, rotate her foot back, and then it could rock to the side. But it's really a pain in the ass to get that to work properly. Next, let's check her out compared to some other action figures. Starting off by checking her out next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse. Here she is next to this wave of figures. These are the 3 deluxe figures you need to complete the Collect and Connect Batmobile. Here she is with the 3 members of the Rebirth Comics Bat family they've made so far. We've got Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing. I can't wait to see how deep they get into the Bat characters. And here she is next to all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse figures they've released so far. We've got 12 figures and a vehicle. Here she is next to a couple of DC Collectibles, DC Essentials figures. We've got Batman and Batgirl. DC Essentials is an ongoing 7-inch line by DC Collectibles, and it should scale up okay with McFarlane figures. I will say this DC Collectibles Batgirl is probably about the size McFarlane should have been. just a little bit shorter than Batman. And here she is next to a Batman and Batgirl from Mattel DC Universe Classics. And next, let's check her out compared with all the other Batgirl figures I have. Here she is next to all the different DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batgirl figures that I have. And I must say, she is taller than all of them. She's pretty close to a couple of the tallest ones, but she is the tallest Batgirl figure they've released so far. Here she is next to all the different Mattel Barbara Gordon as Batgirl figures that I have. Here she is next to a Yamato Batgirl figure. Yamato was an old Japanese import line from over 15 years ago. These figures did not have very much articulation, but they looked pretty cool and came with some cool accessories. And here she is next to all the different 6 and 7 inch Barbara Gordon as Batgirl figures I have in my collection. And then speaking of Barbara Gordon, here she is next to a couple of Barbara Gordon as Oracle figures. And a lot of people consider Barbara Gordon to be the first Batgirl, but she sure wasn't. Back in the 60s and possibly the 50s, we had Betty Kane as Batgirl. And Betty Kane later became the Flamebird. That was her superhero identity in the modern day and age. This here is a Flamebird figure. It's from a DC Armory set from way back when. I'm actually not even certain, I don't believe it to be Betty Kane under this costume from the source material. But I sure use this figure as a modern day Flamebird. And quite a while after Barbara Gordon got crippled and turned into Oracle, Cassandra Cain here became the third Batgirl. Cassandra Cain was the daughter of David Cain. He was an assassin. He was trained by the League of Shadows. Cassandra Cain actually has an appearance in the upcoming Birds of Prey film. And Cassandra Cain eventually left the mantle of the Batgirl behind. She later became the Black Bat, and currently is the Orphan in Batman comics. And the next person to take up the mantle of Batgirl was Stephanie Brown. During the events of Batman Reborn, she became Batgirl and kept the mantle until eventually Barbara Gordon could walk again and was no longer crippled, and then she became Batgirl. And Stephanie Brown was the hero Spoiler both before and after she was Batgirl. On the left-hand side here is a custom of her Spoiler when she first appeared, and then on the right is a figure from the Mattel Multiverse of Spoiler from the Rebirth comics. Next, let's check her out compared with some other different action figure lines from different various companies to see how she fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix her with. Here she is with some of her McFarlane toys, brothers and sisters. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And here she is with some DST or Diamond Select toys. Now with some NECA action figures. And here she is next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And then next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now here she is next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. And then here she is next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. Here she is next to some Mafex figures. Then here she is next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And then here she is next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And then next to some Jazzwares figures. So overall, this is a pretty nice figure. Her articulation is pretty on point, just wish her head could look up a little bit. This is not one of my favorite Batgirl costumes, but I thought they made a really good figure out of it. The texture on her suit is nice. My only real big complaint would be she's a little bit taller than she should be. Don't get me wrong, her and Nightwing are almost the same height compared with their collector card bio information, but Batman should be considerably taller than them, and he's pretty much even with her and Nightwing. So if I were to rate this figure, I'm teetering on a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I mean, the figure execution is nice. Only little gripe is she's a little bit too tall. I mean, her paint is crisp, articulation's on point. I personally like the taller figures, but that's just me. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Keep an eye out for my other McFarlane DC Multiverse action figure reviews. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.